Welcome, 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 my beautiful Rose Priestess initiates in the Red Temple. Today we have such a wonderful and special priestess guest joining us, and her name is Krishna Rose. And we are going to drop in to the conversation within the heart coherent field to drop into the energies of the Magdalene and the Sisterhood of the Rose, as we always do during these conversations. And of course, you are all invited to be with us in the now moment in the quantum field. I'll go ahead and I'll just drop us into the heart space, and then we'll hear from Krishna. I'll invite us to place a hand on our heart and a hand on the holy womb. Running the infinity symbol between the heart, the womb, and the heart, activating that beautiful connection of these feminine portals. Feeling your body relax and rest in the love, the light, and the presence that is Divine Mother. We welcome you in the here and in the now. And I invite you to shift your energetic body to the back of your heart, into the magnetic field, into that feminine energy, into that receptive nature, allowing Divine Mother to pour through you, honoring each and every one of us as the holy chalice, as the sacred grail, as the vessel, and honoring specifically today our beautiful priestess sister, wise woman, Krishna Rose, as the vessel that will bring forth her knowledge, wisdom, and way showing today in order potentially to activate that which is ready to be awakened and activated within our own self, our own sacred field, and our own heart knowing. We call forth the energy and the essence of the Rose Council that oversees this temple. And we now do declare that we are in safe and sacred space, a space in between the worlds, in the liminal field, where all manner of mystical connection, magical experience, transmutation, alchemy, and expansion are possible. Taking a breath and come into a coherent energy, heart to heart, hand to hand, sister to sister, soul to soul, womb to womb, holy woman to holy woman. We are here, we are here, we are here. Krishna, I welcome you into this container, into this temple today. So delighted and happy that you are here. I'm going to start by asking you to introduce yourself, to introduce how it was that you came upon this path, to introduce your work, and anything else that you'd like to share with us.
Thank you so much, Maureen. So welcome everybody. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here with all of you today. Um, my name is Krishna Rose. I'm the author of an award-winning book, a historical novel based on the lifetimes of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, called Woman in Red, Magdalene Speaks. Um, how did I come to this path? This is a very interesting question. It's most interesting because I'm actually not Christian and I was not raised Christian. I guess if I had to say that I belonged to any path, I belonged when I was being raised more to a Hindu path because my father was from Kashmir, India, actually from the hometown where Yeshua's tomb is. And I was taken to his tomb when I was 8 years old, and in Kashmir, in Srinagar, Kashmir. And the head minister of Kashmir took me into the tomb and showed me where Yeshua's body is buried down in the bottom of the tomb, not at the top, but at the bottom. The top is just a facade. His actual body is in the bottom. And at 8 years old, I remember thinking, how is it that Jesus Christ came to be here? How is it that nobody knows that his body is here? It intrigued me at age 8. So I think that was probably a spark that took me on this journey of needing to write the real story of Jesus Christ, and his wife, Mary Magdalene. Um, the divine feminine has been set aside for 2,000 years, and she was set aside with the story of Mary Magdalene. Calling Mary Magdalene a whore was one way that they removed the left-hand side of God. They not only did they remove the wife of Yeshua, they removed Mary Magdalene entirely from the equation by calling her a whore, which is the worst thing you could do to a very pure-hearted princess as she was. But then with her, all goddesses and all things of the feminine were removed. So as I started to study more in depth what actually happened after the crucifixion, I wanted to understand, how is it that Yeshua was crucified and resurrected and then came to be in Kashmir, India, where he died at age of 79 years old. I wanted the evidences. I didn't want to just believe the story that I had been told through the New Testament Bible. And as I began exploring the history of the Bible and of the Jesus story, it became extremely clear that this had been very much a propaganda campaign on behalf of a few men of Rome who decided to take control over the beautiful teachings and life pastimes of Christ. And they decided which direction it would go in, building a church upon Paul and Peter, who were known women haters. They're known bigoted men. They didn't believe that women even had a soul. The men would sit around and debate whether a woman even had a soul. And this is what the Catholic Church was built upon. So as I started to read the older texts, the Gnostic Gospels, and also many Puranas where the predictions of Christ were within, I came across an entirely different story. Now in India, well, gosh, where do I begin? This story is just so incredible. Well, I'm just going to say, for those of you who really would like to read the story of Yeshua and Jesus, of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, please take the time to either read or listen to my book, Woman in Red, Magdalene Speaks. It's impossible for me to condense in this 45-minute conversation everything that I studied and everything that was written and everything that was revealed to me. I would say that probably 75% of my book is historical fact based on scrolls that are in India, which people don't know about, which very few people know about, I should say. And these are the life pastimes of Jesus and Mary Magdalene after the resurrection, that they came to France. They were with the Essenes there in France for a time. But Yeshua, being the Messiah, was restless and he wanted to continue on his mission. And people are very mistaken as to why he agreed to go through this process of crucifixion and resurrection. So let me clarify, it was two things. One is that there were very greedy, very ugly men who wanted to control everything in religion in Judea at that time. And they were expecting the Messiah, but they wanted to control the Messiah. And the one thing about a Messiah is they are uncontrollable by any man or any woman on earth, because they are only governed and controlled by our Lord and Lady in the kingdom. So Yeshua just did not fit their mold, and therefore they had him crucified because they couldn't control him. The second reason why he agreed to do it, and it was like a pact, I believe it was a pact between him and God, that if he would go through this awful, torturous experience, it would ensure the safety of his teachings for the next 2,000 years, because people love a miracle. And his miracle was the greatest miracle known to mankind. to die for 2.5, 3 days and then return to life is the biggest miracle. So this is what ensured that his message of the kingdom, his message of kindness and compassion and tolerance, and his message of divinity would span the centuries, and it did. So the plan worked, and that was the messianic mission. Now, as I started to write this story and this book, it became very obvious to me that Mary Magdalene was not just a mere wife, and not merely just a princess of the line of Benjamin, not merely a wealthy woman who owned the town of Bethany. She was so much more than that. Not only was she a teacher in her own right, but she was the coming of the second Messiah. There were two Messiahs expected. Rome and Judea and India all prophesied that there would be two Messiahs. And many people were mistakenly believing that John the Baptist was the Messiah, and then Jesus came as the second Messiah. But this is not true, because John did not fulfill the prophetic principles that were written into the prophecies. Yeshua did. He fulfilled every single one of them. Now, many people don't really know these prophecies. So one of the prophecies was he would be crucified and he would be resurrected. Another prophecy is that he would go in search of the lost tribes of Judea and reunite them.
Mm.
And this was the most important prophecy for Yeshua personally, I believe, is that he really wanted to reunite the human beings on earth under one God and one goddess. This separation that's happened in religion, where, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm a this, I'm a that, and, or I'm black, I'm white, I'm male, I'm female. All these designations have created a divide between us as a humanity. And Yeshua's messianic mission was to unite the people before one God and one goddess. And he fulfilled his mission. He traveled to France, where there were already many, many Jews from many tribes living in the south of France at that time. They had escaped the terrors of the Roman civilization. And when he decided that he wanted to go to India, he wanted to return to India, they took the Silk Road, and Mary Magdalene went along with Mother Mary and the entire family, actually. They all went, except for Brother James. Jesus's brother James remained in Jerusalem and led the Temple of Jerusalem there in his absence, in Yeshua's absence. And on this gypsy trail, many things happened that are miraculous, and I've detailed them quite intensely in this book, and it was all backed by history. Now, when they came to India, Yeshua found the tribes that had been lost, and he did not want to leave. Magdalene, on the other hand, she wanted to return to France. She wanted to be with her sister Martha, her brother Lazarus, who had remained there in France with the Essenes, and she was pregnant again. And in Judea, when a woman would become pregnant, for 3 years, she would have nothing to do with her husband. These were Judaic laws. So when she found out she was pregnant, she said, okay, I'm going to go back to France. You stay here and complete your mission. I'm going to go have our baby, and then our restitution will be in 3 years. This is what it was called, was a divine restitution, a coming together after 3 years. This allowed the woman time to heal her body after birth, to not then jump straight into lovemaking, and to heal herself, and to give her time to completely bond with the newborn child, rather than the man competing for attention. So these laws were put in place to protect the women. So when Mary Magdalene returned back to France and lived out her life, gradually, as her children were raised and they went off into their, two of the boys went into very specific schools where they were trained as Druidic priests. And Sarah Tamar was married into a Spanish royal family. And still to this day, that bloodline is still in the royal families across Europe. Well, now in France, actually, the French and Spanish kings and queens who became Magdalene's bloodline descendants, they are mainly no longer in seen as royals, but they do still exist. And I have actually met someone from that lineage who, if there were kings and queens today, she would be the reigning monarch. So Mary Magdalene then decided, once her children were grown and raised and had gone off to do their thing, she decided that in order to fulfill her mission as the color Messiah, the feminine Christ, that she would have to withdraw from everything external in order to raise up her vibration into the kingdom, so that all womankind could rise with her as she rises. For that is her messianic mission. This was her designated task. So it was revealed to me when I was writing that when Yeshua came back into his body and finally returned back to his wife's side, it's a very beautiful, sweet reunion after, because she thought she'd lost her husband and she tried everything she could to revive him, and he didn't return back to life. And she went down to Galilee to be with her family in her family home, devastated, thinking that she wasn't going to see him again and that he wasn't going to rise from the dead. So when he finally arrived in Galilee, Joseph Arimathea brought him. They had a very sweet reunion, and many beautiful conversations happened there. And one of the conversations was a very tearful one, in which Yeshua revealed to Magdalene, I saw you. I saw who you are. I saw your power, and I returned for you. I heard your voice calling out to me from the kingdom. I was in the kingdom, and I heard you wailing and crying out my name, and I could not leave your side, so I returned. And part of the reason that he returned was to fulfill in her messianic mission, for she did not understand or know that she was the color Messiah. She was a princess of a Davidic line, a very wealthy woman, a healer in her own right, a very powerful woman with her own followers. She was a teacher and a very blessed human being. But Yeshua took it to the next level. He told her straight, you are the second Messiah. For as you rise, all women shall rise with you. But your time has not yet come. Your true purpose will happen in the future, in a future life. So in this life, your sacred duty is to rise up in consciousness to the highest degree, so that when you return to earth, as you remember who you are and as you rise up in your consciousness, all women shall awaken with you all across the world. And this is why we're having a big Magdalene phenomena across the world. So many women are feeling Mary Magdalene, her vibrations, her teachings, her frequencies, her messianic mission. And nobody really understands, well, why is this happening? Why is it that thousands of people all around the world are all of a sudden praying to Mary Magdalene, wanting to understand the mysteries of Mary Magdalene? And it is for this reason, because she is here, and her rising flame in her consciousness as it rises is awakening women all around the world, and men too. Men are also very affected by her frequencies. Divine Mother has been missing from the collective pool for 2,000 years. So Mary Magdalene's return hails in the return of the divine feminine, of the goddess, for she too was removed from God's side, just as Mary Magdalene was removed from Yeshua's side. So as we now rebirth humanity, understanding that Christ was married and had children, and we can understand that this didn't in any way denigrate him or make him any less holy. If anything, it made him into the rabbi, into the king that he was. for any rabbi or king who did not have children would have been gay and would have been stoned to death. It was a man's duty to marry and have children. These Christian people who don't believe that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were married, unfortunately have believed such falsity, and they believe that one can only be worshipped or holy if one is unmarried and has never had sex, because they have believed in the lie of Mother Mary, that Mother Mary was a perpetual virgin. Now, if we look at the actual history of Mother Mary, though she was a holy lady, no doubt, she had 5 children and she was married 3 times. So we have this perpetual virgin lie, which wherein all women, unless they're a virgin, are whores, they're Eves, they're Magdalenes. Then they took away her red cloth. Mary Magdalene would wear red as a sign of her position as a woman in red, a high priestess. And the church then said anyone who wears red is a prostitute. Mm-hmm. So when I was growing up, I always heard, oh, you don't wear red nail polish, you don't wear red lipstick, you don't wear red cloth because then you're like a whore. And prostitutes in general would be seen wearing red shoes and red dresses and red nails and red lipstick, right? But meanwhile, the cardinals in the Catholic Church, what color are they all wearing? Red. Why do they wear red, and why was the color red so important to Mary Magdalene and Yeshua? This is a good one. Because the divine feminine wears red. She is Shakti. Shakti is the energy and the life force of the divine feminine. And it is said that in the kingdom that the goddess wears red. She wears a beautiful red dress that is so sheer that it's like the softest silk that you could almost see through. Mm. So as a representative of the divine feminine, of the goddess in the kingdom, that Mary Magdalene and all high priestesses of this lineage would have worn red. So that's why my book is titled Woman in Red, to return her Shakti to the hearts of the people, so that people will understand who she rightfully is and was, and also to be reminded that God has a goddess sitting at his left side. So these teachings are crucial to humanity right now, because what does the divine feminine represent? She represents kindness and compassion and tolerance and non-judgment, non-criticism, motherly love. It means to love all living beings with the heart of, with a vision of understanding that all of us are created equal before God and Goddess. All living beings, no matter what body they are in, no matter what designation they may be in, we are all created equal. When we stand before our Lord and Lady in the kingdom, we're all brothers and sisters. And this is the harmonizing power of the messianic mission, of the messianic message, that we are all created equal. Not one of us is set above the other. Even Yeshua and Mary Magdalene believe they are not set above others. And this is the sign of a true saint. When we are sainted, we understand humbly that we are very small before our creators. We are a spark of their splendor, but we are not ourselves, God and Goddess. And the process of removing everything that is false, all of our illusions, all of our emotional stirrings, our addictions, our traumas, all of these things are preventing us from entering into kingdom consciousness. So when Yeshua and Mary Magdalene taught people about the kingdom, it wasn't a fantasy, it's reality. The eternal reality is reality, and this world is temporary. This is not our supreme reality. This is not who we are. This body, this is all going to go. When I leave my body, this disappears. Everything that I have around me will disappear. All of my friends, my family members, everything that I thought I was will die with this body and go into the earth or into the flames. So who am I? And what is my true destination upon death and dying? And these are very, very crucial questions to ask. So if we can understand that the goal is to enter into the kingdom, we must understand that it doesn't happen at time of death. When we die to this world, we enter the kingdom. And this is why Jesus and Mary Magdalene would take people out into the desert, sometimes for weeks at a time, to fast and pray. Why did they do this? Because they understood that human beings by nature, we're so gullible. We get attached to everything. Everything we look at, we want. We want to taste it. We want to touch it. We want to have it. We want to own it. We want to control it. And Yeshua understood the nature of mankind. And Mary Magdalene understood the nature of womankind. So the women would be over here and the men would be over here, and they would fast and they would pray for weeks. Why did they do it? Because the minute that I remove your cell phone, all the objects of your desires, all your distractions, your food, your drink, your coffee, all the things that you do every day unknowingly, unconsciously, oh, I do this every day because this is what I do. You remove all of those things, and very soon you see how addicted you've been. Oh, I was so addicted to coffee. Oh, I was so addicted to food. Oh, I was so addicted to my cell phone. All of these things. So Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, they understood these truths. And unfortunately, these very, very beautiful teachings that are there within the Gospel of Peace by St. John, they were removed from the New Testament, very sadly. So many Christians and Catholics today, though they're so incredibly faithful, so many of them are so faithful and sincere, yet they do not have the full spectrum of the teachings of Christ, which is a real pity. And it is for them that I really wrote this historical novel, Woman in Red, Magdalene Speaks, because I've really condensed 25 years of study, 25 years of my life, that's half of my life, into the study of the ancient scriptures and the ancient scrolls, which are not in the Bible, to come to the conclusions that I came to. And then it became mixed with my personal realizations and meditations as I was writing the story. And as I'm typing, it was as if I was actually there, witnessing everything firsthand, writing down their conversations, which were profound and life-changing for me as a human being. I'd have to say that I am not the same person today that I was before I started writing that story. I am so changed as a human being because of the teachings and the understandings that were revealed to me in my meditation, in my prayer, in my writing, my process of writing. So to enter into the kingdom, we have to die to this world. And this is why this expression, the saints, they say, we have to die to live. It doesn't mean you die physically and then you enter the kingdom. It means we have to die to all the false things of this world. And we have to close our eyes to this world. And with heads covered and a bowed head, a bowed ego, and a humble heart, a sincere and open heart, it is there that we have an opportunity within our prayer, our meditation, our japa, our rosary, whatever your sadhana practice is. It is there within those quiet moments that the kingdom reveals itself to us. And it is a real place with real people. It is the eternal reality into which we have to awaken while we are embodied. And once we once our eyes open in the kingdom of God, I like to say the kingdom of Goddess, but within the kingdom of Goddess, when we open our eyes there, then gradually we forge our eternal spiritual body in the kingdom, and we become the maidservants of the goddess, of the eternal goddess, who lives in an enchanted forest with millions of pets and millions of pet birds, and so many sweet things are going on in this kingdom. The entire kingdom is made of chintamani, wish fulfilling stones, emeralds and diamonds and rubies, and the sand is made from crushed diamonds, and the trees are wish fulfilling. So you can wish for anything. Just go up to a tree and hug it and make a wish, and it comes true. And so the kingdom is a real place, and Yeshua touched that place, and he wanted to share it with all of us. And that's why he was willing to die, and that's why he was willing to resurrect.
Mm.
So all these beautiful truths are in the Magdalene lineage, waiting to be awakened in us at this time. They are codes and activations of Mary Magdalene's messianic prophecy, which are now fulfilling through all of us. And our divine duty as her priestesses is to follow this path very sincerely and very carefully, to watch what we say, how we say it, to be kind, to let go of our judgments, to let go of our falsities, to let go of our attachments, our addictions. And this is why, when they said that Mary Magdalene had 7 demons in her, it really pissed me off, I'll be honest. I was like, she did not have 7 demons. But what I did realize is that she did have to go through 7 layers of the underworld and 7 layers of the heavens to enter into the kingdom, to understand where the kingdom is and how to attain it. But first, as a Messiah, the most important thing as a Messiah is to first understand where suffering is and why people suffer and what kind of sufferings people go through and what happens after death. Where do they go? Where does a person go if they abuse children? Where does a person go who's lied their whole life? Where does a person who's greedy go? So the 7 deadly sins basically are encompassed within these 7 layers of hell that are within every human being, because we all fight against our laziness. We fight against our egos. We fight against our greed, our lust, our envy, so many things. All of these things are sloth, and we don't even know that we're being governed by these 7 chakras, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
For each one of these sins lives within each of the chakras. So as Mary Magdalene was the color Messiah, her sacred duty was to journey through every one of these hells within herself, but more so, she actually went into the 7 hells and saw the afterlife of people who were really gluttonous or really greedy or really lusty or really angry, that she saw what the consequences were of humanity upon death and dying, where they were going, because they had been unconscious in their life. They thought they were going to get away with whatever they were going to get away with, but no one gets away with anything in this world. Everything is measured, everything is counted, and at time of death, our heart is weighed against that of a feather on the scales of life, and we are given eye for an eye exactly what we put out into the world, into life. So Magdalene, upon seeing the horrors of how people suffer in the afterlife because they don't understand the laws of karma, which are God's holy justice system, then she set about, I have to find ways to reach the people, to teach the people about these things. Because unless we understand that for every action there's a reaction, we cannot rise above our lower nature to enter into the kingdom, because she understood that it was only kingdom consciousness that could save us from these constant cycles of death and dying and rebirth, which are the cause of ultimate grief for all living beings.
Mm.
So here we are today. The Magdalene flame is rising up in the hearts of many right now, all across the world. It's extremely exciting times that we're in. The divine feminine has returned to religion for the first time in 2000 years, and this is prophesied, and it's extremely exciting for all of us. For the golden age is here, and I know you mentioned the golden age, Marin, so let me just say, the golden age, what makes the golden age so special is this. The golden age is returned to earth via the divine feminine, who, upon seeing the disasters of this time period that we're now in, where we have demons running countries all around the world, and they are not human, they are demon, and they do not care for humanity. So, seeing the darkness of the shadows that were about to happen here on earth, the goddess, with her heart full of compassion, came into this world 500 years ago as a secret avatar named Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to bring holy name to the world, to teach people that through holy name chanting, no matter what faith we follow, God's holy name and Goddess's holy name is always all powerful, has the power to cleanse all darkness and make all things light. And holy name has returned and been restored to the earth. And you can see this all around the world. People are suddenly into yoga. They're all chanting in kirtan, especially you in California, right? They're all into kirtan there, aren't they? I know they were in Maui as well, where we lived. And here also where I live, there's literally 3,500 yogis here who chant every day. So chanting's become a big thing. It's a way of linking ourselves to divinity, to God and Goddess, so that we can use it as a daily practice, so we can cleanse the grail of our consciousness, so that we can receive the holiness of divinity in our grail, and so that we might spill over and help others and affect others with the watery essence of divine feminine's mercy, which flows through all of us when we practice and connect to her. So that's what's happening right now. And the golden age basically means that these demons who have had control over us for thousands of years are going to lose their control now. They're going to lose their power. It's all going to crack apart. And the golden age means that all faithful souls around the world of all faiths will be protected. It is prophesied. I just was reading in the Babishi Purana, which is the most ancient prophecy book in the Vedic scriptures in India. And in the Babishi Purana also predicted Yeshua's birth, his crucifixion, his resurrection, and him coming to India, him meeting King Shalivahan, and all of the different things that happened to Yeshua in India were all predicted. And they're all in this specific book, the Babishi Purana. So in the Babishi Purana, it says that during this time, that all of God's children who are sincere, who are not inimical to love, so not people who just dress in a certain way, but then secretly they're doing terrible things behind closed doors. Not those people. We're not talking about those kinds of devotees. We're talking about the people who are sincerely worshipping and praying and trying their best to advance their souls, and who really want to love and want to raise vibration of everyone around. And they will be protected during these times. And that is how the golden age will flourish. And then it's predicted that all around the world, we will have these beautiful communities of people who are all worshipping God and Goddess under different cultural names, but we will unite. We will not separate because of our differences. And that is the messianic mission fulfilled.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. I want to stay in this frequency and ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the Sisterhood of the Rose?
Yes. So Mary Magdalene had many followers, female followers, who revered her. They didn't worship her, they revered her as their teacher. And now, as this Magdalene flame is arising in so many women all around the world, we now have a sisterhood for the first time in 2000 years all around the world. I'm amazed at how many people I meet and talk to who are rising up in this Magdalene energy. It's shocking to me. I'm so excited about it. It's a fulfillment of prophecy. This is history in the making. So the Sisterhood of the Rose is actually an ancient lineage which was created by the sisters who revered Mary Magdalene after her death, and it became lost in time. Of course, we had the Gnostics, we had the Cathars, who were of course sacrificed by the Pope. And sorry,
Okay.
I should have unplugged my phone. Let me unplug it.
Sure.
So I don't get disturbed. The Sisterhood of the Rose is now awakening all around the world. Women everywhere are wanting to come together. Why do we want to come together separately from the men? Well, it's kind of obvious. We're sort of tired of being controlled. Women are tired of being controlled, of being told what they have to do, how they have to do it, how they have to dress, how they have to sit, what they're allowed to say, when they're allowed to say it. You got to follow this rule and that law and this law and that law. And that's very male dominated religion. It's very very much the left brain, very linear. But women are intuitive. We are priestesses. We are prophetesses. We are meditators. We are lovers. We love naturally. It is in our nature to love. And what is the kingdom? It is ruled by love. And that kingdom consciousness, which is aching to flow through all womankind right now, is bhakti. It is yoga, the yoga of devotion. And that's why any practices that bring us into this vibration of where we feel our love, anything that brings us into trance, trance is where we get to lose our ego and enter into the experience of bhakti, of devotion. And this is something that women experience far easier than men. My guru in India told me once, and this was a little controversial because he's surrounded by millions of men, a big male dominated religious system. And here comes my guru who's all about the divine feminine. And he says, no, it's so much easier for women to experience the pure love of God because they don't have big egos. Men have something called Purusha Bhav. A Purusha Bhav means that they have the mood that they are the Lord and Master. They should be revered, they should be worshipped, they're in control, they're the man. They have the male ego. It's very hard for them to reach into the heart and feel feelings of devotion and love and sympathy and compassion and kindness. It's much harder for a man to experience that. So I did notice myself that probably this is how I really sort of came to the Magdalene Rose path, if you like, is that I recognized when I moved here to this community, which is basically ruled by a very male-dominated religions. I live in an area, it's the Bible Belt, so we have a lot of Baptist Christians, we have a lot of Catholics, and we have a lot of Hare Krishnas, we have a lot of Mayavadis, and it's all ruled by men. And I came here to this community hoping that I could just come in and be inspiring for other people. Oh no, I was controlled by the men. They did not like me shining my light, and they feared me, and they didn't want their wives and their girlfriends to be with me. So I decided to start a full moon circle for women. Let's get the men out of the equation and let's just see what happens when we gather together. And it's grown over the years. And what I noticed here in the community where I live is that we as women now are so close. I came here, everyone was lonely. Nobody had friends. Everyone was just living their little small, little shallow lives separate from each other. And then I came here and I was like, come on, we got to get together, us ladies. We have to experience the divine feminine together. And now so many women are shifting and changing together and seeing that it's important for us to gather together, to have these, to be inspired together, to have people who are reminding us of these ancient truths, to be inspired by the warmth that we experience when we come together and we open up our hearts, we open up our consciousness, we lose our egos, and we experience God and Goddess in the crucible of our divine soul. And that becomes freely expressed through us, through our practices and through our rituals and our ceremonies. And it's the most beautiful awakening that's happening all around the world. And women for thousands of years did this. This is not new. This is how we used to live before the male dominated hierarchical religious system came in when they set Mary Magdalene and the goddess aside. And that's why this work is so important right now. To return Mary Magdalene to Jesus' side is principle. To return the goddess to God's side, it's principle for us. This is our philanthropic work, if you like. Because with this, all harmony is restored on the earth. Now, it's prophesied that with Mary Magdalene's return, with Mary Magdalene's return to the side of Yeshua, we restore religious balance. All these people who love Jesus and who want to follow his teachings have believed that he was an unmarried man who never had children. They've taken away his masculinity. That's the truth of it. And Mary Magdalene restores that masculinity. So not only do we restore femininity, we also restore the divine masculine. So the work is very important, very, very important. I applaud you, and I applaud all women who all around the world who are right now awakening up to these mysteries. I'm so excited as so many people are taking to this path. It is a fulfillment of prophecy, and that's why it's happening in such large numbers all around the world.
Oh, sister, I just want to take a breath and just speak into, I have fully received this transmission at the depths of my heart. I feel, the best way I can describe it is I feel the percolation and the awakening and the activation literally happening in my light body as you speak and as you transmit. I thank you for that. I know that other women within my circle are absolutely going to have that experience, and that the ripple of the holy language that you speak around this story is going to ripple out in ways that I can't possibly imagine. So I want to say to you from my heart, I see you.
Oh,
I honor you.
thank you.
I remember you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And I bow to you as prophetess, as teacher, as a wisdom keeper, as lineage holder. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you too. You're also doing that work.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you. And so beautiful that we can all be together and just expand one another as you have expanded me today, and you will expand the women, and we shall move on and expand others as well. So thank you for your time. And thank you everybody for joining us. Krishna, can you let people know, I would imagine that there's going to be a lot of interest. How do people connect with you? I know because I ordered it and it's on its way. Your book is on Amazon.
Yes.
Can you give us the title again?
Yes, the book is Woman in Red, Magdalene Speaks, and by Krishna Rose, that's me. and it's available in hard copy, ebook, and audiobook. And you can get it on all major online stores. And I have a second book, which we're hoping is going to come out September, October, which will be called The Secrets in the Mirror, which is a furtherance. So now I'm going to take the story of Mary Magdalene out and bring the teachings forefront, really take people through their own dark night of their soul, where they can go through the seven layers that are within them that need cleansing and healing in the light of consciousness. So that's going to be my next book. And you can contact me. I have a website, krishnarose.com. I have a group on Facebook called the Holy Grail Experience. And I have a YouTube channel under my name, Krishna Rose. And I'm on Instagram, Krishna Rose _. And I have been recently, I just started doing these little 1-minute videos, which is a new thing for me. I don't know where the inspiration came from, but I'm grateful for it. And every day I upload one 1-minute video, like a quick injection of spiritual inspiration to set the day straight and the consciousness in the right frame of mind. So this is a new thing that I'm doing, and I'm really loving it, and it seems to be touching a lot of people. So I'm going to
Wonderful. And those videos, if people want to watch them every day, are they on Facebook and Instagram? Are they on your newsletter? Where would we connect with those?
They're just on YouTube
YouTube. Okay.
and Instagram.
Great.
Sometimes I put them up in my group on Facebook too, but mainly it's YouTube and Instagram at the moment.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I think that's utterly clear about how you all can connect with Krishna. Definitely buy her book. I'm actually thinking to listen to the book now that have listened to you. Your words are clearly coded with frequency, which I appreciate when I can feel that from people. And so I thank you. I thank you. I thank you, my sister. This has been such a rich is the best way that I can describe it. Just fecund conversation with you. Thank you so much. And again,
you're so sweet. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bless you. Okay, I'm going to stop our recording.